So this story comes at the intersection of Hebrew and hubris. I had been living in Israel for a few months, and I realized pretty quickly that I was not going to see the country if I had to spend my time waiting at exit stations the whole time. And I decided to buy a car. It was a used car. It was a British-made Mini Minor who was totally inadequate for the Israeli weather. The guy who sold it to me said, you know, sometimes in the winter, when I have to start the car won't start. So what I do is I park on the top of the slope, and I kind of like put it in neutral, and I play around with the clutch, and it starts. And then after that, the whole day, you're fine. Okay. Fortunately, I lived on a street that was on a slope, so I get there, my maiden trip, I get to the top of the slope, I found a fantastic spot. No sooner I get out of the car, our guy comes out and says, you cannot park here. Okay. At that time, my Hebrew was kind of like the Ulpan Hebrew, where you kind of make the words together, but you're not about to have a conversation with some guy. But I managed to muster Eifo HaChok, which means like, where is the law? Which is not really the right Hebrew to use. And he says, Im ata rotze chok, tekabel choken, which in Hebrew means, if you want to find the law, I'll be happy to dispense you an enema. In English, it doesn't ring very nicely, but in Hebrew it rhymes very well. Now, if you go to Ulpan in Israel, you are very unlikely to find the word choken on any whiteboard. So that word is not known. But what they do tell you is that in Hebrew you have like the root, like the shorish, and then after that you have all these words that derive from it, like katav, which is to write. You have like michtav and achtava. So if you don't know the word, just lawyer it up and figure out what it is. Okay, so I pick up on my newly acquired linguistic skills and say, Hoken, Hok. Got it. Hoken must be that little sticker that you need to put on your windshield to find out, to be able to, it's like a resident parking. So I tell him, fine, I'll get a Hoken. And he continues yelling. I go down, drive, park in front of my apartment, and I said, Hoken or no Hoken, I'm leaving the car. The next day, I realized I needed this Hoken thing, and I go to the university. There's this guy at the lab at the university, this friend of mine, Yossi, who was Israeli. He knew his way around. He grew up in Jerusalem, and he had helped me with other dealings with the bureaucracy there. And so I tell him, hey, Yossi, you know, I need a Hoken for my car. Otherwise, I cannot park in Ramat Eshkol. He says, what? Yeah, the guy told me I need a Hoken. Without a Hoken, I cannot park. Yossi was a nice enough guy, but he wasn't about to pass up on a good practical joke. So with a straight face, he says, you need to go to City Hall and ask for a Hoken. It's a great idea. You sure you get it? No, that's where they give them. So I get to the City Hall, which was just a few blocks from the university. There's an information booth. There's a religious guy there. And I said, excuse me, where do I get a Hoken for my car? He says, what? Yes, you know, I need to get this Hoken. And at that point, I must admit that I started to doubt about my linguistic skills and whether or not the Ulpan thing was going on well enough. And he says, Habibi, you don't need a Hoken. What you need is a dictionary. I now learned the word Hoken, as I'm sure you do too. And if there is any moral to this story, is when it comes to Hebrew, trust but verify.